Hi guys, using Photoshop I'm going to show you how to edit one of your portraits into something that looks a little bit like the pictorialists. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the photograph. If you're at college it may not open up on Camera Raw, but if you're at home you should have the Camera Raw plugin, which means that you can then edit it in Camera Raw. To be honest, I don't do much in Camera Raw. Like I'm in Lightroom, I might just play around with the clarity, sort of take the haze out of it. I'm going to increase the exposure a little bit more. I'm going to increase the contrast, and because I've increased the contrast I'm going to take the saturation down a little bit more, and I'm going to kind of go with that at the moment. And then I'm going to open. Okay, so the first thing that I always do in Photoshop is do my skin retouching. So I have got my Florabella actions in here, which I downloaded from using Moodle. I've also got the Gun by Chromate and the Lith Print action as well, so I'm going to show you how to use those as well later on. So using the spot healing tool, I'm going to make sure that my brush is really soft. And then I'm going to just select and go around and just eliminate all these blemishes from her face. Being careful not to mess too much with the skin, because sometimes it can go a little bit mottily, especially with these really strong shadows in the skin. But what we have to do is, if we're going to do any skin retouching, you have to get as much off as possible before you do it. It just will not eliminate it. And if it's not going on something like a spot there, then I'm going to go onto the patch tool and I'm just going to pull it across here a little bit and then eliminate it that way. This bit here as well, this one here, and then I'm going to go back to my spot healing tool. Just go for a smaller brush. I'm hitting the square cursor keys, and that will make my brush bigger and smaller. And just get rid of those little bits there. I think I'm kind of happy with this now. Maybe just a few more little. I don't want to overdo it though. I'm just going to see if I can get rid of that little bit there as well. Just looks a little bit uneven. There we go, that's much better. Okay, so as I said before, I like using the Florabella actions. However, if you can't get those actions to work, so something like a natural skin smoother, which will instantly get rid of the skin, you can always go to your layer section. You can drag your layer down. So you've got background copy here, and then I'm going to go to filter, and I'm going to go to blur, and I'm going to do a Gaussian blur. That's obviously a bit too much, so I'm just going to maybe go 4.5. That sounds it's good. I'm then going to select the layer mask, but I need that to be black, so I'm just going to command an I on there, and then using a paintbrush and a white paintbrush and my opacity at about 50%. Make sure my brush is about 0%, and I'm just going to start. Oh, she says go back to a white brush, and I start smoothing the skin in here a little bit. It's really important when you do this as well to avoid things like the eyes. You don't want them to be too soft. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. And I really don't want this hair to be in focus either, and that's the good thing about doing this, is that you can actually select that you don't want the hair to be, I want that to be nice and soft as well. Remember, we're looking for a pictorialist effect, so we really want that to be nice and soft. Same as her hair there. It's just really your eyes that I really want to keep in focus. I'm going to do a little bit more skin retouching, so I'm going to take that brush a bit thicker and just going to quick teams so it doesn't keep pinging up anything. Okay, and you can see now that's a lot softer than it was before, which is really nice for what we want to do. Okay, so I'm really happy with that. So the next thing that I do normally is then I'm just going to flatten that layer because I don't need to worry about it anymore. So just selecting the 3 little lines at the top, then I'm going to flatten the image as I'm happy with that skin retouch. So now I need to go to my adjustments, and I'm going to change it first of all into a black and white image. So that's this select little icon here on the adjustment layer, and you can go to default or you can choose one of the presets as well. But I'm going to just intensify that red a little bit more. Okay. So then if I go back to, so it's black and white, but I actually want to have it like a sepia looking tone, or remember that they would have had, remember due to the Albion printing process that they used, it would have been had that like sort of almost brownish kind of tinge to it. So we're going to add another adjustment layer, but this time we're going to hue and saturation, and we're going to I'm going to tick colorize here. Obviously that's not the colour we want. However, if you put in 30 in the hue and you put in 21, you get this really nice sort of brownish tinge, but you can change it if you wanted to have it less. So you could maybe 15 is a bit nicer actually. Okay, got my colour, I've got my black and white. I need to now put some texture in the background. So I'm just going to, I've got the texture that I downloaded from Moodle on my background, so I'm just going to import it on there. I'm going to press the shift key as I drag it along. Okay, and I'm going to create, I'm going to do an overlay, and although I don't like some of the edges on it, so I'm going to create a layer mask, and then I'm just going to pull using my black brush, and you can see here now on my layer mask it's about 50%. Just going to come off because the skin's looking a little bit mottled where that is, and that's really not adding to the image. Okay, just take it away from there as much as I possibly can. Click on, I can see that that's where it's coming off, and I'm happy with that now. Although I'd like it a little bit darker in areas, so I'm going to select my background layer, then I'm going to do another adjustment layer, and I'm going to do a curve. I'm going to, like I said, I want it a bit darker. So I'm going to put one black point there, and I'm going to really bring that white out, the highlights out, and then bring one in the middle. Just going to push that up a little bit. And go back to my layers. Okay, so it's really, really contrasting now. So I'm just going to take the opacity down a little bit. I'm happy with that now. And I'm just going to save that image.